We ready? Right. So I'd like to put a consensus up that we seek consensus that administration work on conditions on the in-camera land discussion that we just had on May 28th of 2024. Please, we'll see that up in a minute, but before that comes up, is there any discussion or comments on it? Okay. No comments or discussion. Could you vote for or against that, please? Thank you. And that is defeated with Ryan Goon, Stuart Taylor voting for, Nicholas Nissan, Trevor Hawes, and Alberto Stashka voting against. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to agenda topic 5.1, benefits principle policy, HR 1903. Administration.
Thank you, Chair. I will turn this item over to Ms. Hope.
Good evening, I guess. It's too late. Is it's okay? I'm just going to talk about all three kind of as one. So these are policies that guide our HR practices. They're simply due for review. I didn't recommend any significant changes to any of them, with the exceptions of the last one, which just saw a definition change to match the updated definitions from legislation. So I'm here if you have any questions for the service.
Any comments or questions? Oh, I have a question. I don't understand the purpose of this because there's no real standards to this. It just sort of makes general statements, and some of this seems to be covered in provincial legislation. So why are we doing this?
Thank you. So you're right, some of it is covered, but they do provide some guidance, and these are kind of the guiding principles that the rest of our internal directives and procedures really follow. So these are the policies that my directives cite when I write them, and these were developed 4 years ago when we updated the policy and tried to separate out, or not tried, but separated out what was appropriate for HR in a policy versus what should have been dealt with in a directive.
Anybody else? Sure. 19, are you introducing them all, right?
If that's okay.
Yeah. Employer of choice. That seems to be the principal thing that this does, is it identifies the term employer of choice. And that's something that we want to be. Is there a more specific definition of that, or is that just make this a desirable place for employees to come without any sort of exact standards? It's kind of what this does, which is fine. We want to attract good people to hint. Great, I'm okay.
Through the chair to members of the committee, these are just really high level enabling documents that enable us to manage our benefits, allow us to manage a couple of different processes, but this is a high level enabling policy that all of our directives and procedures flow through. So they are very broad, high level, but they're just intended to be enabling documents.
Perfect, that's all I have. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to take the recommended action that committee refer the draft benefits principles policy HR 1903 to a future regular council meeting as presented. Thank you.
Great. Okay, we'll vote on that committee refer the draft benefits principle policy 1903 to a future regular council meeting as presented. Please vote for or against that electronically. And that passes unanimously. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that the committee refer the draft employee relations policy HR 1904 to a future regular council meeting as presented.
Okay. Please vote, yes or no to the committee refer the draft employee relations policy 1904 to a future regular council meeting as presented. Yes or no, for or against, please, thanks. Okay, that's unanimous again. And there was one more. Oh, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and through the chair to administration. For this last one, I actually have a question. If we take a look at the employee, the last one, the employment principles policy, section 6 of 11 in the revised redlined version, the definition for source of income doesn't make a lot of sense to me as a definition that we're only defining source of income as a lawful income that attracts social stigma to its recipients. I need an explanation on why that definition is the way it is, if possible.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, where is that?
That would be page 30 of 39 in the package. It's the last version of the employment principles policy, page 3 of 3 in the redlined version.
Mr. Chair?
So the quick answer is that was just a cut and copy from the definitions provided by the legislation, but it's meant to try and remove moral stigma from any kind of income that you might have. So if you're an employee, you have a second source of income. We're not supposed to discriminate against you because you're also a gas attendant as well as something else, or an Uber driver as well as something else. And I'm sure there's other examples I could provide. HR and something else. And so I could definitely work on a different maybe definition, but I did just cut and copy from the legislation.
Can I follow up, Councilor Taylor or Chair?
Go ahead,
Oh.
please.
Thank you. Cut and paste out of the legislation, that might be sufficient to make this make sense. But as I read it and your explanation makes a lot of sense. We don't want to discriminate against an employee that works down at the gas station part-time evenings and weekends. But I don't believe that income attracts a social stigma. So is that person being included, or is it really only the person that is doing, I don't know. I can't think of a social stigma income right now that I'd like to list off in a public meeting, but I'm just curious if this definition is inclusive enough for all of our cases here.
Through the chair if I could, but we also do have an employee code of conduct. So the definition when it comes to you cannot discriminate against someone as it relates to their source of income does have its limitations. We have an employee code of conduct. There's also legalities around other ways of potentially earning money, but that is included in the for workplaces to ensure that we have a discrimination and harassment-free workplaces, not to discriminate on those grounds. Obviously, in the legislation, if you deep dive a little bit deeper, there's limitations to that. But it's just to ensure that we're consistent with the language that's being used for discriminatory purposes. But again, we do also have an employee code of conduct that would place reasonable limitations on these items.
Thank you. That's clarifying. If this is in keeping with the legislation, then I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Well, I had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So these are definitions for items that aren't listed in the policy, purpose, scope, responsibilities, correct?
Correct, but they are definitions that then feed through the directives. So we still utilize these definitions at this high level through my other documents.
Oh, I see. So the individual directives don't have whatever this is called, a definition section.
They point to, they do have their own if there's additional, but they point to this policy.
Right. Okay. Any more comments on this policy? Anybody have a motion or anything? Please.
I'd like to seek consensus that committee refer the draft employment principles policy HR 1905 to a regular council meeting as presented.
Okay, any comments or questions? Well, I pressed something, it didn't show up. Did it show up in yours?
It did.
Okay. Yours is there. It is there now. The committee referred the draft employment principles policy HR 1905 to a regular council meeting as presented. Please vote for or against now. Thank you. That passes unanimously. Any more comments or questions on that one? No. Okay, with that, thank you very much. We move on to 5 for Wildfire Prevention Committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair, to the rest of the committee. So, first off, my apologies for bringing this at we are running up into the deadline, but we are looking for committee to make a recommendation for the Wildfire Prevention Committee resolution. That's supported by a motion that was passed on March 5th. I can confirm that the town of Coronation has agreed to second the document and has made a motion to that effect. So really, as of right now, it's going to be dependent on committee, and if we are interested in approving this, we will need to get a formal council motion prior to Friday. Unfortunately, so we would be able to call a special, could be online or in person, whatever may work for council, but so we are putting this forward for committee to consider and to provide us further direction on how we want to proceed with the Wildfire Prevention Committee resolution. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
My feeling is that this is important to continue because wildfires will be continue to be a threat in our area and a lot of communities around Alberta. And just like the Mount Pine Needle committee was important to get ideas shared around and between municipalities and to have more of a say in how things are going. There is no provincial initiative that does exactly this, and I think this is important prevention for at least communities that are affected by going to be affected by wildfires. So does anybody want to make comments or questions? Please go ahead.
I just, before somebody puts a motion out there, I am more likely to be available tomorrow than on Thursday. I just, for the sake of quorum, checking to see how everybody else is.
Meredith.
Thank you,
Meredith.
Chair. And through the chair to maybe administration or committee. This will be my first time putting resolutions through AUMA. So I don't have a lot of experience. The town of Hinton hasn't put a resolution through in 14 years, I believe. And this year we've got a motion on sheltering that we were seconding with Red Deer. And we have our prime motion on healthcare professionals that's been seconded, is going to be very popular. I'm looking for some input from council administration on the process at AUMA, and if we add on another motion, are we diluting our chances of success overall, or is that not duplicate effort and we've got a good shot at moving forward on either of them?
Administration, do you have an answer? Or council?
Through the chair to the members of the committee, you know, I don't think that it necessarily dilutes an important, especially because these are in my mind very different very different topics, but, you know, it depends on council and how comfortable we are and whether we want to focus on one area or another, or we want to put both forward, you know, ultimately this will, if council wants to go ahead with this will be provided to the resolution committee for a final check and a determination whether it goes forward and if there's anything similar where it intersects with possibly some other resolutions, but you know, generally it depends on council, and if we want to put numerous forward, there are communities that do that quite often. It's just, you know, it is you know, there's a possibly an unspoken expectation that the town of Hinton becomes the driver of this item and the one who follows up, and you know, these don't come without, you know, some resources to make sure that we're following up and continuing the fight on all items that we put forward, but that's all I would have to.
Okay. Mayor Nissen.
No, that answered my question. It's just slow to get the hand down there. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion on this? Please.
I'd like to take the recommended action that committee call a special meeting to be held on May 29th to discuss the Alberta Munis wildfire prevention resolution. Mr. Paul.
Any
Through the chair, sorry, Councilor Magoon, if I could, if we could dedicate a time as well, my apologies for not putting it in there.
At 4 p.m.
that's what. Councilor Hawes.
So I'm in favor of the motion. Unfortunately, though, May 29th, at 4 p.m. I won't be available. I won't be able to come in virtually or in person. So hopefully that doesn't affect one at all. But I'm in favor of it.
Councilor Sashi.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the motion too, but I'm not sure the time's going to be great. Councillor Hawes indicated he's not available. Councillor Taylor indicated maybe, and if you have an upgrade connection. Councillor Grace wasn't available today. I don't know about tomorrow. Councillor Chambers. It's putting us awfully thin. I'm not sure. I'm okay with tomorrow, but
Is there a time that four of us are okay tomorrow?
If I may.
No, Mayor Nissen's first. Go ahead.
I was, thank you, Chair. I was just going to, put input. We can expect that Councillor Chambers won't be available, and I think Councillor Race tomorrow is iffy. So if Councillor Hawes is unavailable, that leaves Ostashik, Taylor, Magoon, and myself. I'm available at whatever time on Wednesday. So if between the four of us or the three of you remaining, we can find a time that works, we can at least get quorum.
Okay, are the four of us available at 4 o'clock? Are you? Okay, so that's 4 at 4. I would just have to phone in.
Yep.
Okay, you give me a number and I'll phone it. Okay. That's we'll move ahead. That committee call a special meeting, a council meeting to be held on May 29th, 2024 at 4 p.m. to discuss the Alberta Muni wildfire prevention resolution. Please vote for or against. That passes. No, I'm missing a vote. Mayor Nissen. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. With that, there was no more action items. Thank you for that. We move on to the proclamation for the Rural Health Week. Do I read this?
Yes.
I do. Okay. The proclamation this week is the Rural Health Week. Rural health providers are powerful assets in their communities. Not only do their healthcare skills and practices enhance their community quality of life, but these professionals also contribute to rural life on a more personal level. They have special relationships with their patients and community as family, friends, neighbors, volunteers, teachers, and mentors. Community volunteers led by local health professional attraction and retention committees are the heart and soul of their communities. These local volunteers go above and beyond to support healthcare and healthcare providers in their communities, developing innovative and collaborative approaches to successfully attract and retain healthcare providers and to keep healthcare close to home. I, Deputy Mayor Stuart Taylor, do hereby designate May 27th to May 31st, 2024 as Rural Healthcare Health Week, as Alberta Rural Health Week in Hinton. I urge all community residents to show appreciation for the contributions of the rural health professionals and community volunteers whose abilities and efforts enhance the quality of life in rural Alberta. Thank you. Now we will move on to reporting, council reporting. We'll start with Councillor Eustache.
Mr. Chair, I have nothing to report.
Excellent. Councillor Hawes.
You report at this time.
Mayor Nissen.
Thank you, Chair. So this past week, Councillor Race and I attended the Bridges Poverty Simulation down at Bridges. It was a great community event, and I think a lot of people learned a lot of things. Last Friday was the Gerard Redmond High School graduation, well attended. This coming week, we've got the community business walk through town on Thursday, and that starts at 10 a.m. at Community Futures, if any councillors wish to attend. There's also the Blend Restaurant grand opening in the Green Square on Friday, and Seniors Week starts on Monday. So that's going to be an exciting time for all of our seniors. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor McGowan.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Taylor has nothing to report. Administration,
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report.
nothing to report. Okay, now we'll move on to the reporting and status report. Or is that what you just gave?
Yeah, through the chair, we do have the council action pending list as well as the completion list. If there are any questions about any of these particular items, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay, my only question was on the pending list, this item on second page, the $2,004 towards the water line. That says in progress. Is that complete? That's complete now, right? Was that in progress?
This is for the 200,000 to lower the water line. The agreements have all been signed.
So does that make it complete or
Yes.
does it, it's not complete until it's completed?
Well, the task is completed in that we've entered into the agreements. The water line is moved, but we've entered into the agreements.
So the next version you see on the pending list will have this on the completed list.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Right. Any more questions or comments on the pending or complete list, please? Oh, we'll move into closed session if we could. Can I have a motion to move into closed session? Councilor Hawes,
Move to go into closed session.
thank you.
You have to vote, Mr. Chair.
I know I just.
Oh, I
Right,
see.
so,
Okay, pardon me.
I appreciate the reminder. All right, was that supposed to say yes or for or against?
Sorry. So you want to hear on this one, please? Yeah.
The committee moved into closed session at 5:27 PM. Please vote for or against. Thank you. That's unanimous, and we'll move into closed session in a minute. Thank you.